Hi, welcome back to this series. In this videos, we're installing, configuring, and testing the Centrify App Access application that can be obtained from the ServiceNow store. In the previous videos, we've actually set up a service account, we configured the applications, and now we're ready for testing. To add some context here, the way CIS works, you assign you use role-based access control, right? So you would assign a role, like the one that I have here, AWS Consultants, that happens to have no members, no administrative rights, but it's assigned an application called Amazon as root. On the application side, I just have it to um, as one of the user access capabilities here. And my user, Diana, who happens to be a user provisioned by Centrify and also assigned a role as well, does not have access to this app, right? So why are we doing this? Typically, organizations want to merge the service management capability with their security and access control capability to ensure repeatability of process and also documented approvals. In this case, we're going to use the ServiceNow Service Catalog. And one of the things that happen when you configure Centrify is that under software, you're going to have an item for Centrify App Access. In this case, it's down here. This is all customizable. You can make the icons look bigger. You can make them part of categories. But in this case, I can click on it. And this is going to display the app. And in here, all I need to do is click on it again. And it's quite simple. What I can do is select an application. So this is going to pop up the applications that are eligible. And in this case, I have this Amazon as root. This is the one that I want. And I can put a justification. Right? Once I order this, based on the workflow rules set up in the ServiceNow environment, and notice that we're using a developer instance with all the defaults, it'll go through the approval process, right? We're going to do something very unorthodox because typically you want to enforce separation of duties, so you shouldn't be able to approve what you requested. But again, this is just a instructional video. So all I need to do is go to the request in question, right? And notice that the first stage happened, which is the automatic approval, because it's an item that costs nothing, right? The next thing I need to do is go into the associated request and task. And this would be the review that a manager would do. Okay, so this person actually is requesting this role, and these are the assignable roles here. So I'm going to set up the AWS consultants. I'm going to set it to approved, right? And one thing that I want to do also is approve the task, right? So I want to also close that task, right? I'm going to stay here. Let me just go ahead and update this. So I may have to go back in here. So I want to make sure that the associated task, because it's different gates, right? So you have the original request, then there's a task associated with it, right? We want to make sure that it's all closed. So I want to make sure that here this is closed, right? So the fulfillment is closed as well. So it's closed complete, and I'm going to go ahead and update that, right? Once this happens, right, notice that all the stages are completed. On the left pane here, then the Centrify App Access application should connect out to Identity Service and provision the user in the role. So let's go ahead and take a look. So remember before we didn't have any members. If I were to reload here, notice that Diana is part of that. Therefore, if we go over here, we should be able to reload, and our application is there. At this point, she can click on the application and access it. But what we're focusing here is on the self-service aspect of this, the request and approvals, and the actual action at the end. So I'm hoping that this series was fruitful. One of the things that we could do is to set up our environment for automatic approvals, and now you have a nice demo environment for yourself. But in this case, I will let you go and figure out how those things are done.